Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So yesterday we saw the uh, we saw the different communities, professional communities that were named and listed by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj. And there is another one also, a member of the Ventur Goswami Society or the caste called Goswami. There is Jat Gosai. They call themselves that we are descendants of the Goswamis. Jat Gosai. We belong to the Goswami caste. That also cannot be accepted as a descendant of the six original Goswamis. Nor can so-called devotees who manufacture songs about Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, nor those who are professional priests or paid reciters be accepted. All these are not accepted, rejected categories. I remember I had met one person, and that person mentioned that the place they belong to in West Bengal, their family is in contact with another family who are descendants of Sri Advait Acharya Prabhu, or that is what they claim. So they come under all of them. They come under Jat Gosai because they're not following the regulative principles. They are not following instructions of Bhagavad Gita. They are not following the principles. Their acharan, their way of their lifestyle, nothing reflects anything to do with the scriptures. But they claim themselves to be descendants of Advaita Acharya Prabhu and they are Jat Gosai. So, um, so they still exist. This Jat Gosai, all of them, Aul Baul, all this Gorang Nagri, Churadhari, Ativadi, Darvesh, Sani, Nara, Neri, Karta, Bhaja, Baul, Aul, Jat Gosai, all of them still exist. They're still present. And it reminds when this person was mentioning that uh, we are connected with the descendants of Advaita Acharya. So then it reminded me of one incident from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, where Sri Advaita Acharya himself rejected his sons. He had four sons, if I'm not mistaken. So two of them were Gopal and Achyut, whom Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu loved a lot. And they are actually Advaita Acharya Prabhu is Mahavishnu and Mahashiv combined. So Advaita Acharya Prabhu's two sons are actually none other than the expansions or the incarnations of Lord Ganesh and Lord Kartik. So and they were very dear to Advaita Acharya Prabhu because they followed the principles that were given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Advaita Acharya Prabhu himself was a very strict follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's principles, because he's not some Advaita Acharya Prabhu is not some sahajiya. He is. It is this bhajan is there, no? What is it? Daya karo Sitapati Advaita Gosha Tava Kripa Polipa Chaitanya Nita. It is because of Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu that Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu have descended. He was crying. Therefore, Advaita Acharya Prabhu is not some Sahajiya that who will do all these bogus things. Therefore, when his other two sons, they started claiming that no, Advait, our father is Lord Shiva, And therefore, one must follow. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is the supreme personality of Godhead. This is what the sons of Advaita Acharya Prabhu were claiming. And Advaita Acharya Prabhu completely rejected this thing, and he rejected his sons. So, Mahashiv, Lord Shiva himself rejected his sons because he rejected this philosophy. He does not consider himself to be supreme personality of Godhead because he knows who is the supreme personality of Godhead. So therefore, the Jat Gosais, or the descendants who call themselves or claim themselves to be descendants, actually, they call themselves Goswamis. Actually, they are not authentic, because those Goswamis, also those so-called descendants, they also claim that no, Advaita Acharya is actually the supreme personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is the supreme personality of Godhead. So where Advaita Acharya Prabhu himself rejected his two sons, then what to speak of so-called descendants and so-called Jat Gosai, right? So nor can so-called devotees who manufacture songs about Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anybody coming and calling themselves devotees and manufacturing some songs about Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cannot be accepted unless they are acharyas, unless they are bona fide, unless they are accepted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the bona fide followers and disciples of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, unless that is um, authorized by them. Such songs cannot be accepted. Nor those who are professional priests or paid reciters of the scriptures, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. You pay me so much amount and then I will. No, cannot be accepted. One who does not follow the principles of the Pancharatra, or one who is an impersonalist or addicted to sex life, cannot be compared with those who have dedicated their lives to the service of Lord Krishna. So basically, what does it mean? Anybody who has not come to the basic platform of becoming a human being. And what is that? To become a human being, the basic platform is following the four regulative principles. Above that is the principles of Pancharatra, that is Vaidhi Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti. So, and above that is those who have fully dedicated their lives to the service of Lord Krishna, favorable service of Lord Krishna. So, pure devotee who is always engaged in Krishna consciousness can sacrifice everything for the service of the Lord, whether following the principles of householder life or those of the renounced life in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Such a pure devotee who has dedicated his life to the service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna, and the spiritual master cannot be compared with these mere ordinary professional men. When one is freed from all material contaminations, any one of the relationships with Krishna is transcendently relishable. Unfortunately, those who are inexperienced in the transcendental science cannot appreciate the different relationships with the Supreme Lord. For them, it is bewildering. What is all this? All Krishna's son. How can the Supreme Lord be like this? Then it's all. They can't believe, they can't understand these such things because they cannot understand this transcendental science. They are inexperienced in this. It's a science, but it is not mundane science of this mundane world. It is transcendental. It transcends all the other layers of skies that are there, and it is on the topmost highest sky, spiritual world. So it is transcendental, the spiritual. They think that all such relationships arise from Maya. The author of Chaitanya Charitamrit, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, again, I think our other, I don't see. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit is Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj, has given a nice example concerning these relationships. He points out that earth, water, fire, air, and ether, the five gross elements, develop from subtle forms to grosser forms. Subtle forms to grosser forms. There is ether, which is subtle. We cannot see. We cannot. We cannot perceive with our senses, gross senses. Then there is air, that is also subtle. We can feel, but we cannot see. Then there is fire. Fire is there in the wood already, but in that form we cannot see it unless it manifests. Therefore, it's that you can see the transition. Absolutely subtle, slightly subtle. There is subtle to grosser form coming. Then there is water, which is tangible. And then there is earth, which is very much visible. So subtle to grosser forms. They develop from subtle to grosser forms. For example, sound is found in ether. If just imagine a room, um, or just imagine that our ears, we fill our ears with sand particles and cotton and water and everything. It is filled with all that. Can you hear anything? Can we hear anything in that scenario if our ears are completely blocked with everything? Or if we enter a room and that room is packed with every nook and corner is packed with starting from huge items and then filling all the nook and corner with pebbles and whatever possible. So there is no space for even air to enter. Then in that condition, if somebody speaks something, there is no gap. Will it be audible to the other side? For example, there are houses which have walls in between. But because the wall is so packed, now if there are gaps in the wall, then it is very easily, when somebody on the other side of the wall can hear you very easily. But if the wall is perfectly without any hole, if there is a wall, and if you speak on one side of the wall very softly, how does the sound travel? It travels through the spaces. But if there is no space at all, will the person on the other side be able to hear you? Is the example clear? Is everybody able to visualize and understand what I'm saying, or is it some rocket science that I'm speaking? I hope it is not. It's very simple thing to understand. It is very simple logical understanding. So that is ether. The empty space that is there, that is ether. There is ether in there, and because of that, the sound can travel. And because of that, we can hear the sound. But in air, there is both sound and touch because you can feel the air. You cannot feel ether, but you can hear sound because sound is traveling. Therefore, you can perceive that it is because of that ether the sound is traveling. But you can feel the air, and in that air, the sound also travels. In fire, there is sound, there is touch, and there is form as well. In water, there is sound, there is touch, there is form, and also taste. Because Krishna says that I am the taste in water. So if somebody thinks there is no taste in water, let that person do Nirjal Ekadashi. In a hot summer season, when Nirjal Ekadashi comes, let us try doing complete Nirjala Ekadashi. And in that time, when one drop of water comes, it feels like somras from the heavenly planets, because that is when we can really relish the taste of water. So there is taste of water, and Krishna says, I am that taste in water. So water has sound, touch, form, and taste. Finally, in earth, there is sound, there is touch, there is form, there is taste, and there is smell also. Because as soon as in the dry, barren land, the first drops of rain comes, a beautiful fragrance comes from it. So there is smell also. Just as the various characteristics increase in the progression from ether to earth, so the five characteristics of devotion increase with each relationship. Just imagine the level of this depth in this example that Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj has given. Because for those who think that they are very scholarly and they are very highly educated and they know so much, but if they are not trained in the spiritual science, then for them, this example will go a bouncer on their head. It will be a complete bouncer for them. So, what is the use of their so called learning and studies and all those things? There is no use. Just imagine the depth of this example. Finally, just as the various characteristics increase in the progression from ether to earth, so the five characteristics of devotion that were discussed previously, with each relationship, there is um, awe and reverence, then affection increases further, and there is fraternity. Then from there is a sense of, I have to protect Krishna. Krishna is my son. Krishna is junior to me. And then from there, when affection and love increases to the highest extent, then it becomes conjugal love. So the five characteristics of devotion increase with each relationship until all five are found in the relationship of conjugal love. In Madhurya Ras, all those five characteristics are present. Just like in earth, all the five characteristics are present. Thus, the relationship with Krishna in conjugal love is accepted as the highest perfectional stage of love of God. In this connection, Lord Sri Krishna says to the damsels of Vraja, what Sri Krishna says, we'll see tomorrow. Krishna will. We'll continue reading tomorrow. Thank you very much for kind association. पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री श्रीमद श्रीधर स्वामी गुरु महाराज की जय। जगत गुरु
जय
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय
जय
प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि
हरि
हरि
बोल
हरि बोल
जय
एंड श्री गौरंगा।